As you know, the 90-day fiance streets never sleep. So we're going to begin this one here talking about Julia. Now, Julia is somebody, as always, is always getting herself into situations with viewers, with people that comment and say things that she does not like. And to be fair, some of the things that are said can be rather too far. Well, Julia has come out by saying this to begin with. She said, wow, when will this end? Go back to your country. And on top of that, she wished my child taken away, knowing that nothing will happen to her emotions. While it hurts me to have things like that written to me, I see crazy comments, but this is too much. She wish my baby take from me, mum, and give away to raise into someone else. Block. So obviously her represents the fact that she's blocked this person. But let's get into the actual conversation itself. As you can see here, someone obviously came out by saying, do you look in the mirror because feel sick? I understand. I feel the same way when I look at your pictures. Ooh. And then also someone else jumped in and says, yes, disgusting. I wish Brandon would leave you and Betty could raise his baby. Not even your baby, his baby. And bear in mind, these are women coming off the women. Boy, boy, boy. If a man was to say, yeah, my baby, who? They'll be like, excuse me, who carried the baby for 9 months? But nonetheless, though, we continue. Judy decides to come in and respond by saying, oh yeah, this person also continued by saying, you're a mean, disgusting bully, which to be fair is something that some of us cannot contest. But then Judy says, disgusting, interesting words to use. Then also someone else comes and says, oh, you're precious. But she's still disgusting, her and her little friend Sophie too. Now we do know that Julia and Sophie on the most recent season of The Single Life definitely were mean girls. So much to the point that none of us liked them by the end of that season. Hell, I guess we didn't even like them even at the beginning of that season. We continue here with Julia responds by saying, crazy lady, did you read what you say? Take baby from me and give to raise to someone else? Psycho. But this wasn't the end of what Julia had to say to this person. Now, of course, this is obviously the same thing that I read a second ago, but then there's an additional comment down below, also provided to us by Julia herself. But she says, oh, sorry, where this person responds to Julia by saying, yes, I know exactly what I wrote. I mean it. You go back to your country. Seems to me these are xenophobic comments are becoming a recurring thing recently in the 90-day world. First, it happened with Shekinah, with Thais, and now we're seeing it again with a viewer saying it to a cast member, that being Julia. Listen, the fact is, when it comes to the internet, people are very comfortable to say things that they should not be saying. But I will say this though, despite the fact that Julia is a person that is very, very unlikable for many, many reasons, if somebody's going to obviously call her out on something, at least call her out on something that she's actually done, not something that she hasn't. So calling her for being a mother to a child when she hasn't displayed anything negative about being a mother, well, there's no need for that to be mentioned, is there really and truly? And then also comments like go back to your country. I mean, folks, come on now. When will that end? Let's just give that a break. The world is a better place when the world is a better place when people are able to mix and get to know other ethnicities, cultures, religions, you name it, the whole shebang. If we all lived in a world where we just lived in our own countries without seeing sight to anybody else whatsoever, well then guess what, folks? I guess we would all be living in one little bubble, which to be fair, you can argue may not be a bad thing. But at the same time, though, some of us actually enjoy being able to go to other countries, see how other people live and appreciate and enjoy their culture. And some of us, to be fair, even when we get into a relationship with somebody else that is not from our culture, we take that as a very good learning experience for how they live, and also it can really make us more intelligent and more open to how the world really is for other people. So really and truly, this all go back to your comment, these xenophobic comments. You know what? I always say those comments are for the untraveled and uneducated. Hey ho. But give me your thoughts on the matter itself in particular. Now we're going to move on to the next one. Now this one here is all about everybody's favorite cast member. That one being Jasmine. Yeah, I had to go there. So Jasmine, as you know, always has to have a say in something. So she's received these comments recently on one of her pages where somebody came out and said, yep, you were blessed with 2 boys. I'm sure they blessed to have you as an absent mum. So you just said F the other kids, huh? All that time in America and you couldn't even bring your own kids over. Then also someone else comes in and says she doesn't know how her other kids doing in Panama. She never ever talks about her 2 boys, probably because they are full Panamanian and the little blonde with blue eyes. I mean, listen, people are always going to have their thoughts and their opinions when it comes to Jasmine and stuff in particular, but then she started to play some clips from the show itself in particular regarding her expressing the stresses of her being away from her kids, something that we've seen before. But she does add on the side by saying, my children are the most precious part of my life. While others sit and judge, I just want to say thank you to my mother and sisters who have stepped in to helping all of us while we navigate a very difficult immigration process. I've been in a very dark place emotionally, and I'm grateful to still be here. And then credits one of her lawyers, or immigration lawyer to be more specific, and also letting her know that obviously I know how hard you work. But here's the thing, folks, right? This is the issue here with Jasmine, if you ask me personally. She puts too much energy into being on social media and responding to people that are calling her out for her poor choices when it comes to motherhood. What Jasmine really should be doing, in my opinion, is just keep focusing in the background, say nothing on getting your kids here. Simple as that. But at the end of the day, the more she decides to react, the more you're adding more fuel to the fire, because at the end of the day, regardless of what people say regarding herself when it comes to her kids, if she's always responding in defense of herself, but then her kids are still not here in America, or she still has not traveled to Panama to see her kids, well, guess what? People are still going to be like, well, you're doing a lot of talking, but where is the action? Now, of course, we are all fully aware of the fact that there is an immigration process when it comes to her going back to Panama, as well as also being a visa process when it comes to her bringing her kids to America. We all know that it's not as simple as 1, 2, 3, but at the end of the day, though, people have their opinion on Jasmine, not because of the immigration process or the visa process in what's happening currently. People have an issue because of what happened prior. The whole time that she was with Gino, she only ever asked for money for her own benefits. We never ever heard this woman display asking money for her own sake. But then also on top of that, when it came to requesting Gino to do the visa application to bring her to America, we never ever heard her speak about how it was imperative that Gino brings her and her kids over. It was always about Jasmine wants money, Jasmine wants to come to America. We never heard about the kids. And to be fair, to add more fuel to that fire there, later on we then had a newer season with a newer couple, Mina and... what was it? I forgot the name that she was with. But Mina came on the show all the way from France to America, but she made it absolutely adamant that her child must be able to come to America as soon as possible. And even when she was unable, she was still willing to go back to France and risk it all, because she just could not bear the idea of being away from her little boy any longer. And that's something that we witnessed and was displayed strongly on that show. That is something that we never got from Jasmine. And it's not due to production and editing. It's due to the fact that those words of trying to get her kids to America were never uttered out of her mouth. And she has to understand that this is the opinion that people have, and we will have, until we finally see you either with your kids in America, or we see you go to Panama and actually be there for them. But until then, anything that Jasmine says will always be nothing but forever words, because the proof is not backing up your words. But hey, I'm pretty sure if Jasmine ever watches this video, everything that I just said there would pretty much go all over her head, because it's Jasmine. What do we expect? Now, also, while also talking with Jasmine, Jasmine also has come out with an interesting post where she says, unpopular opinion, being a submissive woman has brought me more peace than trying to compete with my man. I would rather have peace in my relationship than win every argument. Now, the question that I have for you folks is, do you believe that Jasmine truly has become a submissive woman? Do you truly believe that this is something that she had in her nature? Give me your thoughts. To be fair, let me change that question. Let me not say nature, because to be fair, many people would argue and say that it is in some women's nature to be submissive to the man. Well, given the fact that the man is an actual healthy leader, not a negative leader, a healthy leader, then yes, you can argue and say that being a submissive woman is actually a great thing to do, right? Give or take on the context of the situation. But when it comes to somebody like Jasmine, the question is, do we believe that Matt is the type of man that's able to come into her life and to be that healthy leader that was able to put her in her feminine energy rather than her masculine energy, so therefore now she's able to actually be submissive? Do we believe Matt has that ability, and do we believe that Jasmine has the ability to find and recognize and be like, you know, I need to do better now? Give me your thoughts on the matter itself in particular. But with that being said, we're now going to move on to the next one. This one here is all about Marissa and Edward, this is a very interesting one, to be fair, because you see, this is the situation here with Marissa's mother. Marissa's mother decided to come out to expose Edward, I guess. Marissa's mom exposed Edward and TLC. So she was simply asked a question on a post, and this is the response that she gave. She said, I am the mom everyone is calling entitled and rude. You missed the big part of the conversation. Only part of it was aired. Before I asked the question, Edward said that he was married before to an American woman, and his ex-wife wanted him to come to America. And he said no, he didn't want to come, and she lived in the DR for a while, and then they got divorced because she didn't like the DR and she wouldn't come to the United States, and he wouldn't come to the United States. He then said that my daughter was special. He came here for her because she was special. So my response, which was Ed, was, what is it? What is about my daughter that's so special to you? So before you accuse, criticize, or abuse, maybe you should know the whole story. I mean, listen, people can definitely criticize with the information that they have. You know what I mean? Obviously, if you want to tell us the full story, that is completely fine. But you cannot call people out for accusing or X, Y, Z to information that they were privy to, you know what I mean? But nonetheless, she continues here by saying that I wasn't being rude. I was responding to something he said that was not aired. TLC is playing everyone with little snippets instead of the whole story, which, to be fair, is something that we've definitely always known to be very custom when it comes to TLC, with the way they like to obviously produce any one of their reality TV shows. It is always they care more about entertainment than they do about the actual whole shebang itself in particular. Now, someone who did say that while I understand wanting to know why someone is interested in marrying your child, why isn't she asking her daughter what's special about him? When she's older, financially stable with young kids, why is she looking at this much younger man that cannot provide to her life except intimacy? If the roles were reversed, it would be glaring obvious, but because she's a woman and we are supposed to think this is a love story, her mother needs to focus on her daughter's choices, not Edward. This right here, I find hard to understand. Marissa's love for Edward. I feel like she had some fun times on vacation with a young man, and now she thinks that it's perfectly normal to fold him into her world, and it doesn't really work like that. And her expectations are superbly unrealistic. For all of her intelligence, I don't think she used her brain with this decision. More of the story is nobody believes that Marissa really should be with Edward, in a nutshell. And to be fair, the question that was raised there is very simple. Should Marissa's mother be more focused on Edward's intentions, or should she be more focused on her daughter's intentions? Because really and truly, if you're going to ask one of them the question of what's so special about my daughter, why not ask the other one what's so special about him? So therefore, to be fair, I do believe that is a very good question asked. The question is, what is your thoughts? What do you think about that? But also, whilst talking about Marissa and Edward, something very interesting also popped up on the Reddit regarding Marissa and Edward's wedding registry, where very interesting situation here where it says our golden retriever fund, which is a very interesting one. And then there's also a very more interesting one where it says money needed for Edward's green card. Now, Marissa is somebody that has displayed herself as somebody that is quite well off financially. So why would she need money to help with the funding of his green card? And to be fair, we have seen cast members who definitely earn less than her in past time being able to obviously find a way to make that money work in some way without having to do a GoFundMe. So to be fair, it is a rather strange GoFundMe, if you ask me personally. But I guess this is extra information just to add to your opinion on Marissa herself in particular. And I guess even Edward as well in that particular. But to be fair, this person also does say that I found their wedding gift registry. This is quite telling of Marissa's family and friends. When would they when they would rather donate to your golden retriever fund than donate to your husband's green card fund. That says a lot of what they think of him. It's really sad. Give me your thoughts on that one itself in particular. Very interesting things happening here, folks. Like I always say, the YouTube streets never ever sleep. Now we're going to move on to the next and last one. And this one is all about Sam and Citra. Now, this one is very confusing, but let's dive into what's going on here.
Not deal with your shit anymore. Just get out now. We don't need you.
So as you saw and as you heard there, Sam and Citra decided to obviously upload by saying that I need some space. And as you heard, she says that he needs to leave. But this is the thing, this is where things get rather interesting, because also in the same conversation, she also says, as I'm getting older, I realize I only need a man in bed. Otherwise, I love my single life. So then all of a sudden now she's talking about being single. This is where things get even more fascinating, because I'm thinking, okay, hold on a minute. Has she truly kicked this man out? Well, folks, whilst I thought that maybe she has actually truly kicked him out, this then happened, and this really spiced things up even more. Where, as you can see here, she's come out by saying, we only get one life. Why spend it being boring? Come have some fun with us behind the VIP door. And as you can see, what is being promoted here, her and Sam's only F account. And this will all pretty much uploaded around the same time, and I believe that one was actually the last one to be uploaded. So I'm a bit confused here. So have they broken up, or are they still together? And also, why the hell do they even have an OF account? Do you know what? Why even us? It's because they're on 90 Day Fiance. It's crazy because so many people on 90 Day Fiance have kids and will still have that account regardless. So many. I guess whilst we're out here potentially blindly judging Cara, Cara is literally not the only one, because we've got Sam and Citra, we had Paul and Karini, we've got Andre and Elizabeth. Jasmine also was, for that matter, as well. Darcy and Stacey, or at least Darcy did, I think. Larissa's another one that also had one, even though her kids are nowhere to be seen. But yeah, it is definitely a common thing. But either way, though, the question that really needs to be known here is Sam and sister, are they together or are they not? Or maybe they're trying to create some controversy because they want to be back for another season on 90 Day Fiance. Give me your thoughts on what you think down below. But with that being said, thank you so much for your time, and please don't forget to like, subscribe, and also hype the video on your way out. Thank you so much.